Hi, and welcome back to the Rise Up Stories. My name is Vicky Ross, and I'm your host. And today I have got the lovely Nicky Herringshaw. Now, because I always tell you how I know the people that I interview and stories we share with you, if you remember, we've got the podcast with Charlotte, who was told she had 6 weeks to live, but was given a doctor's appointment 7 weeks later. Charlotte has gone, as you know, and she's created the alchemy of being. And then she put a whole lot of alchemists together, of me being one, Ben Barnett, who's the other person I've interviewed, is another. And here we have the lovely Nicky Herringshaw as one of the alchemists. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Nikki through Charlotte. And she is an absolute delight, as well as wealth of information, talent, skill, and a stunning rise up story. And again, I do appreciate that none of these stories are original, because we are all living through these stories in life. We've all gone through some part of everybody's story we can own. But for my listeners, these stories are here if you are in that downward spiral in life, that things are not working out. And my hope and what I want to bring to the world is to hear a story of somebody else who also went through what you're going through, and to find that inspiration in their story and to rise up and fight for your life and claim your life and be free. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to Nikki's story. So, Nikki, before we even start with your story, tell us a little bit about yourself. You tell my listeners a little bit about you.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your podcast. It's a great honor. So, a little bit about me. So, by trade, I'm a physiotherapist, and after 7 or 8 years of that, I decided that there had to be more to helping people than just physio. So, I really started looking at the mind and sort of training in extra things like NLP, craniosacral therapy, havening, Psych K. So, looking at how the mind affected the body, but really the soul as well. So that's, I went off on lots of different tangents, and once I escaped the NHS, that really took off.
and that is something that I absolutely loved about you, because I of course entered from years and years back. I came in from the spiritual side, but then of course it was like, okay, so as souls, spirits, energy, we've chosen to come into a life to do something, but how does that all manifest, and what can we do? So then of course I went down the mind route.
Yeah.
But what I saw very, very early, and this is what I loved about the conversation that we had when we first met, is that you can't just work on the spirit, you can't just work on the mind, you can't just work on the body, because we're an integrated, sophisticated, multi-layered, complex system.
We are.
And we have to look at all. So you started off with the body and realized, okay, I can do all the things I do in the body, but it doesn't fix if the mind doesn't fix, and if the soul doesn't know.
I mean, I had to unlearn huge amounts of my training, because I've been trained in a very sort of Western British way, which is very narrow, and really doesn't take account of the fact that that it's a soul having a human experience, and it was just looking just at the vessel of the body and these people, and you can look in their eyes and that you could see, well, no one's being listened to.
Yeah.
And especially if you're female, well, that's another story. And so I really started to, and I could feel what they were saying to me as well. And I was like, I got to do something with this. This is just, and I nearly quit physio. I mean, I actually went off to New Zealand, because I was like, I got to get away from all this, and I got to do this differently. And so I worked in New Zealand for a while, and that's where I came across craniosacral therapy, and that really spun everything on its head for me, and was uncomfortable, because back then I was like, oh, this is all a bit woo-woo.
As against all your strict British kind of...
I did. I was like, where are the randomized controlled trials? Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? And I was like, it's sitting right in front of me. I've just made it happen. But, I need a piece of paper to say that it's true. So I really had to challenge. Yeah, there was, my let's just say my thinking was a little narrow back then. And my ego was large. But I was in my 20s, so.
So we've also talked about, and one of the main reasons that we've got you here, because I could talk to you, and I think we should bring you back so we can talk about the whole connection of body, mind, and spirit from the work that you do, because it's fascinating. I always say to my membership people that as a spirit, energy, soul, whatever you want to call yourself, you were given a vessel, like you said, it's the body. You were given this body, and your one job is to take care of the body. Take care of this human. We're giving you this human so that you can express yourself. Take care of the human. And so many of us, well, I guess I don't want to blame anyone. We're not taught to think about our thinking. We're not taught to understand how we function. We're not taught to know who we are.
Yeah. As someone said, we ride it like we stole it.
It's so true. We ride it like we stole it. This is going to be something that I'm going to quote you, Nikki, because I love it. We ride it like we stole it. Oh my God, that is brilliant.
Yeah, rather than taking it for a nice cruise and
looking after it and maintaining it, oiling it up, cleaning it up. No, we ride it like we stole it. Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, like I said, everybody that comes first to these Rise Up stories has a story. You've got a story. You've got a really nice, well, you've got a very typical but very strong story. So I don't know where we begin with your story, but let's begin with your story.
Okay, so to put it into perspective, I got married in 2012, and then I had my two daughters, amazing little ladies, in 2014, 2016. And I think we got into about 2018, 2019, and I was going, I mean, things weren't great for me. There was hormonal stuff going on. And
so when you say things were not great for you, what do you mean?
Well, so I was not feeling like myself at all. I really didn't recognize myself at all. I spent my 20s backpacking around the world. I was a free spirit. And I think I found actually, I had it in my head because it had been taught to me that marriage and children and the house, all these things that we should want and desire and have. And so I was like, right, this is what will happen. And I think I woke up on like my 29th birthday and went, I must procreate.
Boxes.
Yeah. And within that, I met my then husband like quite soon after that. And he seemed to tick most of the boxes. I ignored a few things, which I really shouldn't have. I knew some stuff in my gut that probably I should have listened to a little bit more. But at the time I was like, no, this is exciting. And I want to get married and I want to have children. And, and I'm coming up to 30 and so on I come. And,
Sorry, I'm laughing because when I got married the first time, I had all of that. And there was so many signs to say, stop, don't go, don't. And everybody was saying, oh, it's just bridal nerves. And I'm like, no, my body knew, my soul knew, and I didn't know to listen.
Yeah.
I ignored.
I think one of the problems was my husband, he was one of the first people. It turns out I probably have ADHD, and so does he. And for the first time, I met someone who got me on a level, and he still to this day knows me on a level better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And so it was fun to have this reflected back to me. And I was just like, let's go. This is all excitement. And he was this very optimistic, exciting person. So it just all felt great. But again, ignored some of the maybe more self-serving things that went on. And so we got married, we had kids. And then I think the motherhood is so very difficult in those early years, and it was so monotonous with hormones that were going all over the place, which really kicked off my ADHD side of things. I was lost and I felt dreadful. I was crying a lot and I didn't know why. And I just remember this moment. Must be too much information. I was sat on the toilet and my husband was brushing his teeth, and I just looked at him and I went, God, is this it? Is this how it's going to be always? And I've learned since then I should not say too much out loud because the universe really listens to me. And I said, something's got to change. I can't keep going like this. Something's got to change. And then within a matter of months, I found out that there had been some significant extracurricular activity on his behalf.
Oh dear.
And in that moment, like, you know, in the films, like when they suddenly, some big news and it goes zoom, and like suddenly, like
The focus is...
the whole world disappears, and it's just that moment. That happened, and I was terrified and scared and in total shock. And for the next, few months, I was like, right, because I knew my NLP, and I was like, right, we're going to make this work. This could be the making of us, and all of this, and on I went. And because I was prepared to fight, and I didn't want to give up at that point because of all sorts of background stuff of like, I will have failed. I can't do this to the children. I think I had in my back of my head every time I'd ever listened to a celebrity talk about why they had gone off the rails and everything all gone wrong. It always started, my parents got divorced when I was a child. And I was like, it's going to screw up my kids. I can't do this. And so I went all in on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did all sorts of amazing personal development stuff. And I was like, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. But there was absolutely nothing on the other side. And it was when my friend turned around to me, a really good friend, and she was really blunt with me. And she said, I was like, I've got to make this work somehow. I've got to make this work somehow. And she's like, I can't pretend that that is going to be the best thing for you. And I was like, oh, huh? I was like,
good friend, you're going to stay.
Yeah, I was like, what are you saying? That I shouldn't save my marriage? She went, I don't think that will be what is best for you and the children. And I was like, how dare you? God bless this woman. Anyway, and she was really like a good mirror to me and for me, and she held me up and sort of said, how about? And I knew deep in my soul, within a week of me finding out about the affairs, I had written to him going, you know what? We are amazing as parents together. Let's do this as a cracking team, but we are not great as husband and wife.
Yeah.
And my soul wrote that letter. It was an amazing letter, honestly. To this day, I'm still very impressed by that letter. But then my humanness and my brain caught up, and then that's when it all went a bit wrong. So I went over time, and I was still trying to fight and this, that, and the other. And then I was so done in. I was just telling you before we came on here that there was a walk home from the school run. And I just felt so broken. And I just slumped down on the side of a road and just started bawling my eyes out. And I couldn't stop. And this poor bloke walked past. And he was kind of going, what can I do to help? I was like, no, leave me. I was like, I know I've got this. This is my realization.
What made you slump down? So obviously there must have been a fear, a thought, a sadness, something must have happened in that moment where you slumped down and you bawled out. What was it?
It was this sense of utter defeat and acceptance that this really wasn't going to change for all the effort I put in. Yeah, for all the effort I was going to put in. I was still not divorced. I mean, we were still not going through the divorce process at this point.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't fight this for two of us. I can only fight this for us together if we're jointly in and we both want this, and only one of us wanted it. And I'm so used to, with my job, being able to fix things.
Yeah.
And I'm incredibly resourceful. And I knew my NLP. I knew how to think. I knew how to not spiral. I repeatedly put myself in his shoes so I could understand why he actually did it in the first place. I mean, I went back through his childhood. I sat in his shoes and I was like, yeah, there's plenty there. There's plenty there. I understand. And actually the role models and all of this.
So can I ask you, because this is something that I have done and is something that a lot of therapy promotes, and I've seen and heard a lot of people do it, where it's the right thing to go down the rabbit hole of what's happened, to try and get understanding, to bring understanding to a situation. Like, why would somebody say that? Let's go back and let's look at their childhood. Let's look at their parents. Let's look at... So I had a very narcissistic dad, and, my whole life I was working towards trying to get him to love me, to be proud of me, and to tell me. And his friends would say, of course he loves you. He's so proud of you. And I said, he's never told me. He's never given me a hug. He's never said to me, I love you. He's never said, Vicky, I'm proud of you, ever. Now, I did exactly that. I went back to understand, what is it that stops him, or is it that he's not capable of loving me? And to be honest, it doesn't matter how much information and analysis I've done on him and then us. It didn't change how I felt inside, because I had to change.
Yes. So for me, by going back, and I could understand it, and the thing is, I could then, maybe this is my empathic side, but I could feel it as him. And therefore, I could see him. I took away the roles and the titles and saw him as the individual soul on his soul journey. And I could get to a point of understanding why he did what he did. It's not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And therefore, because I could understand it, it didn't take away the pain it had caused me, but I did understand why it happened. It wasn't just this random act of meanness and betrayal and this, that, and the other. It had a story, and therefore I could move to a point of acceptance, and then I forgave him.
Yeah, because I do think fundamentally, nobody's really born mean and horrible. I mean, I know that scientifically they say there's like 3% or something small where people are actually, they're not born with the right gene expression. But for the rest of us, we hurt.
Yeah, 100%. And I could see that hurt boy. I can still see the hurt boy. But you know, was something else my friend said to me, you have to upgrade the avatar you have of him. Like, we all have an avatar of everyone around us, right? And she said, you have, for all the good that you see in him, because I could see so much good. And she's like, you also have to upgrade the avatar to include the fact that he will cheat on his wife and he is prepared to walk away from a marriage and a family unit. I mean, he was not, in his eyes, he wasn't walking away from the girls. He didn't seem to understand that that's us together makes the family. But
it's a package deal.
It's package deal indeed. And, you know, and he's maintained he's a great dad, but he, you know, I had to upgrade the fact that he will continue to self-serve and his needs will be put above mine and the family unit on a greater or lesser extent. And that is also a reality, as well as him being actually he has got a big heart. He is very kind in many ways and this, that, and the other. But it includes this big area. And and when I accepted that, and I went, well, therefore, if I keep fighting for that, then I'm giving up on myself. I'm saying that's good enough for me. And I remember sitting in front, I sat myself down and I was staring at myself in front of the mirror, having a chat to myself. And I was like, this is it, Nikki. You're going to walk downstairs and you're going to apply for your divorce. There is nothing else to be done. You have done everything you can. You can be really proud of yourself, because I had really put a lot of effort in. And I knew I had literally turned over every stone. I mean, I'd put some serious effort in.
You did. Literally, you sat on the pavement and you turned those stones while some stranger was going, are you okay? Yeah. So you've done that. Yeah. You've done that ugly. Did you say it was a snotty cry, the ugly crying on the pavement?
So snotty. And it was, I didn't know back then how much pain I could feel. And I didn't know I could survive it. And now I do.
Oh,
I used to walk around holding onto my heart. Yeah. It hurt.
And it is that I know that feeling where you think, this can never change. Yeah. That this is going to kill you. And it's because we haven't had the experience of surviving that to have the wisdom that brings to know that this too shall pass. It's shitty and it's sore and it hurts and there's lots of snot and tears and all that, but we survive it. But a lot of us, especially first time around, we don't
know what? it also highlighted to me, I am so blessed. I have had such a beautiful life, and I had really been brought up in a very innocent way, very protected way, a bit too protected potentially. And I hadn't experienced anything that was particularly bad before. I'd had a few little heartbreaks, but they were little, little guys. So I didn't know my potential. And actually, now on reflection, I'm like, that was really crap, but I knew I could I know I can handle a lot more than that as well now. I've got me.
When I teach and when I've taught resilience to a group, I ask everybody to think of a moment where life was so shit. So for me, it was the pivoting point in Australia. For you, it was, I don't know if it was, I sat on the pavement or whatever it was. But, there is that thing. And then to think about it and to go, you survived that because you're sitting here today. So what's the phrase that you can use that when things go bad in life, you say, you know what, I survived Australia. And therefore I'll survive everything. We are so good at forgetting how super powerful we are, and that we are so resourceful and so resilient, and we forget. And I get people to make up a little sentence. So when they feel really, really bad, they go, oh hold on. I survived Australia, so I'm okay.
I mean, I guess I literally survived a broken heart. I mean, I was holding on to that heart, literally physically holding on to it. And and my heart is, I can't remember, what is the name of those, that Japanese thing where the broken bowl and they fix it with the gold?
Oh, yeah.
Not my head.
That
one.
Wait,
that one.
I'll tell you in a minute.
I know that now. Like, I had everything burst open, and I healed me with help, don't get me wrong, with an awful lot of help from some amazing human beings.
You can only have that help because you're amazing.
But I know a depth and a strength in me now because of it. And what was also true is some of it, I couldn't hide it from my kids. And they watched me at times where I really broke down, and I just couldn't not. I tried to stop a lot of them seeing a lot of it, but they have watched me as two females rebuild myself and be strong, and now run a very successful business and love deeply, laugh a lot. If that's the one.
Yeah, it's called Kitsugi. It's the central Japanese art of repairing broken pottery. You survived Kitsugi.
There you go. We're going to have to learn that word, right?
We will have to learn that word.
Not rolling off the tongue just yet.
Not as yet.
But yeah, so, and now I know that. I also see when I work with people, I'm like, they're going through something pretty bad, and I'm like, great, I'm here for you, but crack on, this is the one.
You can see it on their face, you can hear it in their voice. It's interesting how we think that we are fooling everybody. We're fooling no one.
No one. Oh, no one at all.
Everybody knows but us.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many warning shots for me that I was really not doing very well in the first place before this happened. Like, I'd cut all my hair off and bleached it white and stuck fake lashes on. This is not me, no one's met me, but I am. I'm sat here in a hoodie and I'm always in workout gear or backpacking somewhere doing something. So to do that was me screaming. Yeah, really. And no
they
one
always
went,
say when a woman cuts her hair. They always say when a woman cuts her hair, there's something going on.
Oh yeah, and I literally bleached it white. Yeah, it was an interesting look.
So you had a moment where you went, this is not working, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to go and apply for my divorce.
And I did. And I sat there. And
I'm guessing it didn't get a lot easier in the beginning, did it?
No, I mean, but by the time, I found out in the May 2019, and I didn't apply for that divorce until a year and a bit later. Like, I had really given it a long go, and so actually by that point, the application, it felt easier. Obviously, then the divorce process isn't pretty. I mean, the money is always the one. You start to see the real colours of people when it comes to money. And I keep getting quite disappointed about how undervalued mothers are and the role and etc. That's a whole nother podcast. I could go on and get all feminist on that. But yeah, so I've become a lot braver and more courageous. And what I've also done is I've started rocking the boat, where I was brought up in a way. I remember my mum sitting me down once going, well, you know, in our family, we kind of sail through the middle of life. We have no great highs, no great lows. We're like pretty constant. And like, it was this great thing. And I was like, afterwards, I was like, oh, no. Now I'd felt how low I could go. I was also like, oh, I can go all the way to the top now, more than I ever knew as possible. And I started to stop becoming so amenable. And now I'm in my 40s. I'm really trying to rock being a more awkward woman. It's wonderful. Stopping the people pleasing and the things like that. I mean, I'm still in recovery for people pleasing, but I'm quite a long way into it now.
Isn't it interesting that and you know, Dr. Joe says it, you know, he says that normally it takes a crisis for people to take the deep breath and step back and go, no, that's not going to happen. I mean, some people, the crisis kills them in one way or another. But for people to bring change, it usually takes a crisis, whether it's a physical crisis or relationship crisis, financial crisis, redundancy, business. It's a crisis. And it brings you back to go, oh, and then we do the work and we constantly do the work and we rise and we become the best version of ourselves. And wouldn't it be nice if we would get taught these things? Like, you've got an opportunity to teach your girls things that you were never taught. Not to say that your parents got it wrong. They didn't get it wrong, because your parents could only teach you what they knew.
100%. 100%.
You know, so this is not the blame game, because God forbid that we go into the blame game. No, we're not doing that.
I'm grateful for everything that's ever happened in my life, because everything anyone said, because
it makes you who you are today.
Absolutely. But I think I was reflecting, listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and you were talking about meditation, and it's really that quietness to be able to hear that inner voice. And this is the problem. I think when Dr. Joe says that about, well, why do we even need to go there? We live such a fast life all the time. And I say it to my clients and about me and about them, that sometimes we get too human and we're so up in our logical head thinking space that we're not ever dropping into our heart and our gut, because we're never quiet enough to. How long has it taken us to try and do this podcast, right? Because I'm like here, there, and everywhere. And finding those quiet moments when you can hear the voice can be a challenge. I mean, I fortunately, whenever I do craniosacral therapy, I'm sitting in that space for hours and it's delightful. So, but finding that place when you're in that busy, hectic, go world is hard. And I think we would hear ourselves more if we could.
I mean, I've been meditating for years, and in the beginning, it would be part of my to-do list. You know, I need to meditate, and then something would feel more important, and then I'd go, well, it's okay, I'll meditate later, and then later didn't happen. It's okay. So it doesn't matter if I missed a day or a week or a month, and then 6 months later, I'm like, why is my life shit? Oh shit, I haven't meditated for 6 months. Oh, I've got to go back on my to-do list. And then I don't know when it happened, where suddenly my meditation didn't feel like a therapy or a healing or let me just relax, let me quiet. It didn't feel like that anymore, but it felt like a coming home. And then I thought, why would I ever not do this?
Yeah.
Why would I not purposefully give myself the time to just be with myself?
Yeah.
Because I've just met a part of me that is exquisite.
Oh, I love it. And do you know what? One of the joys of say the joys of probably, I don't know if I should say that word, but of divorce is my children go to their dad every other weekend. And on those weekends, I am quiet.
I know.
Honestly, I probably could write up 3 or 4 business proposals in that time. I could solve most of the world's problems. I can figure out everything that's going on with me because it's quiet.
Well, the thing is, you see,
It's amazing.
if you look at what the Buddhists will say is that all suffering comes from the relationship you have with people and places.
Yeah.
So it's either the relationship, and it's a suffering, not that it's bad, that the relationship you have with your children because you can't do what you want. You have to cook, or you have to do this, or you have. Whereas if you're on your own, you don't have that, and therefore you can do what you want. You can eat when you want.
Yeah.
And I talk about it a lot with my members and all that. When I used to fly for South African Airways, my biggest joy was when I sat on that jump seat and we were like ready for takeoff, and I would feel that aeroplane going. And having sat in the cockpit for most of my flights, dare I say, it was before 9/11. They do this thing where they reach V1. V1 is like, okay, now we have to take off because we're going so fast we cannot stop. So if something happens, they have to pull. So they go V1 when it reaches that speed, and then they go rotate and they pull back those things, and the aeroplane lifts. And it's the most exhilarating feeling for me, because in those days especially, in that moment where that aeroplane's wheels lifted off, my world and everything that it attached me to was gone.
Yeah.
And there was no mobile phones. We had no smartphone. We had no phones. So I would go, for instance, for a 10-day flight to the Far East, we would, after 2-3 hour flight, have to go to Mauritius and sit for one day and look at the sea because we're so tired.
That's awful. How did you cope?
and then when we were rejuvenated, we would get back on the flight and we would go 6 hours or whatever the flight time was to Singapore and sit there for 3 days and go shop and do whatever we did. And then we went to Hong Kong and we did some more shopping, and then we would come back to Mauritius because, oh my God, we're so tired from the shopping. And then we would eventually come home 10 days later. But for those 10 days, I did what I wanted, when I wanted, who I wanted, ate when I wanted, didn't eat. And it was that taste of freedom, which I think that's why my work always alludes towards freedom and helping people create a life that's lived on their terms. And this is why I love the podcast stories, the Rise Up stories, because I get to hear how people through adversity made the choice to rise up and free themselves.
Yeah.
To become who they really want to be. And it is a journey. It is a journey.
Oh, it's a hell of a journey. And I have to say, now the freedom comes in your thinking, right? And as you know, and sometimes I catch myself, and I, we're never perfect, are we? There's no such thing.
The human body has. I was reading a book, sorry.
Tricky little number.
But I was reading the book that said, you think you're in control of life and you try and control your life, which is part of the suffering, and you're actually in control of nothing. Take your body, the human that you were given and you're looking after. You think you can control it. Don't feed it. See what happens after a while. Don't give it water, see what happens. Or don't take it to the toilet when the body wants to go. The body will eventually go to the toilet anyway. You've got no control.
Exactly.
It's an interesting concept.
The whole, do you know what always comes to mind when I try and say to my client, I remember this moment when I just had to go, right, universe, I trust you, in control.
I surrender,
crack on. I know you've got my highest good. And it had, I love the human being that I am now, and my ability to express my soul in the way that I do now, that I wouldn't have dared to before when I was married. And all those unconscious kind of restrictions I'd put on myself and I'd allowed society to put on me, like that just, all gone. And I try to say to my clients, and I always have it in my head, in the film Fight Club. Yeah. And there's a scene where they're in the car and they have to take the hands off the steering wheel. They just put the seatbelt on and they're like, hands off the wheel time. And that's always what goes on in my head. And it's just like, let's free will this. I mean, it didn't go so well for them. They got a bit beat up, but it was fun. But it's about that kind of just hands off the wheel, stop trying to control. It never works when you try and micro control it. And I have been known to maybe do that once or twice in my life.
You and the rest of the world. We're all control freaks until we realize that we've got no control. Yeah. And when we let go, that's when we have freedom and life happens.
Yeah. So I still try and control things, but then I let go quicker. So it's that realization. And I think, no one's perfect. I think you were talking about the therapist shame the other day, weren't you?
Yes, with Will.
And we all have that. We're like, wow, people are coming to us. Who am I to tell them if I do this still? And it's just like, well, we're human. And this deep compassion for yourself is what I would really say now. Like I say to people, be hideously compassionate with yourself. Nice. Hideously compassionate. And that voice we have, especially as women, man, we have a voice, don't we? That's like, how we look. It's just crap, all of it. And just that compassion, if you can bring that in and go, actually, I'm pretty proud of what I've just done. And what it boils down to, I think what it gets to, if we go with the basic, it's Maslow's hierarchy, isn't it? Everything comes down to safety.
Yeah.
And, you can try and create a safe environment to be around and this, that, and the other. But if you don't feel safe with yourself, if you don't know you've got your own back, that's where you need to do the work.
I always say that the biggest thing that anybody can develop or should develop, and I say should without it being like, okay, is a trust in self. That no matter what happens, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It might not be the ideal thing, like you've grown up that by the age of 40 or 50 or 60, you should have achieved this and tick this box and have this picket fence and that car. So it might not fit that package, but you'll be okay. And if you can trust that no matter what happens, you'll be okay, then suddenly you don't feel so vulnerable and so, you know that you are safe.
And that comes back down to like spiritual as well, doesn't it? It's knowing you can trust your gut, but then also psychologically can trust your thinking.
Yeah.
And you know about your thinking, and you've now got some tools. Like I thank God every day for the NLP.
Yeah.
That saved me during my divorce. It really...
It's like you say, it's like that even if the worst thing, even if you get it completely wrong, so you make a wrong decision. So you kind of go, I trust the process of life. I trust myself, and you make a decision and it goes massively wrong. If you can still trust that even in that wrong decision making, everything is perfectly in place and everything lines up and you can trust the process and you can trust yourself, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe uncomfortable, a little bit uncomfortable, but you'll be fine.
Yeah, and getting used to being uncomfortable is one of the best resilience tools, isn't it? Sit in the discomfort and figure it out.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think, and if you think about it, I've done a lot of this work with myself and with a lot of people. And the biggest fear that everybody kind of drives is like, what's going to happen to me? And I'm going, okay, so what will happen to you? Tell me, what's the worst case scenario? So we talk about worst case scenario, and I said, so what's the problem with that? And they go, well, what's everybody going to think of me? And I said, who's everybody? They said, well, everybody. And I said, the people that love you will be there to support you and help you and stand with you. And the people that don't love you, why do you care what they think anyway? Because they don't care about you anyway.
Yeah.
Why are you putting so much energy in people that don't care about you? And why are you putting so much energy in the opinion of people that don't even know you exist?
Yeah.
Everybody's.
So you know what? I remember that right at the start of when our marriage broke down, I was hell-bent on making sure everyone I knew why.
Yes.
I needed them to know it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was him. He did it. And I was, I watched a friend go through the same thing, and she was trying to do the same thing. I was like, it's none of your business what they think. None of your business at all what they think.
And it doesn't matter.
You know about yourself in your heart. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Sorry.
Our time.
And my alarm going off there. So, Nikki, what has been the biggest gift that all of this, I mean, you've basically already said it, but let's just summarize it all. The biggest gift that your hardship brought you, the biggest gift that rising up has given you that today you live with.
Do you know what? It broke the illusion of what life should be, all this marriage, house, kids, blah, 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 and all this societal noise. And it let me step back and go, this is twaddle, isn't it? And let me listen to what I actually wanted. And it's actually a very simple, quite quiet, peaceful life where I help people because it's just the best gift ever. And it let me free up my own thinking and free up my heart and let me be really nice and kind and compassionate towards myself. And therefore, that ripples out to everybody. So,
well, you know, I always say it with people that if you, when I used to do a lot of leadership training, I used to say to them, have you ever had a bad boss, a horrible boss? And everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, everybody's had a horrible boss. I say, what was it like to be around them and work for them? And, you know, level of loyalty, no, it's all zero. You know, there's no loyalty. They couldn't wait to get away and they were glad when they did. And I said, and what about when you were with a happy boss, a good boss? The best. So I've always said your job is to look after the human that you were given.
Yeah.
And part of looking after the human is to find in yourself the love and the peace and the joy.
Peace.
Because when you, because when
I
you
got my peace.
That's it. And then you start to realize how the interference of your peace is all the outside noise. And when you see it for what it is, and then you see it as, you know, Katie Byron says something very, very profound, and I use it a lot more than, you know, I say it more. So she talks about, there's a program that she does that's called Mothers and Daughters, and she talks about the 4 questions that she does and all that. And in one of those moments, she said that until you have learned the lesson and stopped the reactiveness that your mother creates in you, your mother's job is to keep pushing that button. It's her job. You bring the people into your life that will push buttons so that you can stop and look at yourself. And okay, there's a wound that somebody's poking, and as long as there's a wound, there's going to be pain, there's going to be hurt, and that's my job, is to heal that. Because once it's healed, that button cannot be pressed because it doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
So this is what, you know, when you realize that somebody can say or do or be something that hurts you, it's not their problem. You've got the wound, and you've got the button that they're pressing, and your job, part of looking after the human, is to release that pain, release that. It's a perception, by the way, that we have. Yeah. Because as energy, as spirit beings, we can only be perfect and complete. We are never broken. Yeah. The brokenness, if you think about all that you've gone through, is just an illusion, a perception that there's something missing, something faulty, something wrong with you, when actually the job is to realize you're okay. You're enough.
That's it. Yeah. That is exactly it.
And that brings the joy and the peace, because you don't need something on the outside.
So much peace. And I think, you know, now, you know, we will always have the odd trigger, but now when the triggers happen, I'm going, oh, interesting. Why am I getting triggered over that?
Something new to play with.
I'm like, something to work on. and I see it for what it is. And
interesting.
It's just that. But the peace I have and the contentment I have in my heart now is so beautiful. I mean, I would never, ever put myself now in a place where that starts to get under any duress, because I'm like, no.
And I think once you have that, it's, like I say to my girls, you're now here at this level, whatever that level is. And if you meet somebody, they have to meet you at the same level or higher. They can't be lower, because you can't go down again.
Yep.
not with the knowledge and the experience that you've got. And that's a gift, because you'll never give that away. You could never give that away. It's too precious.
No. I mean, it would just be the ultimate betrayal to self, wouldn't it?
And here's the interesting part, is that I've seen people recover from bad events, divorces, breakups, whatever it is. But they've recovered, they haven't healed, and therefore they're still looking for a different, I say different in inverted brackets, person to now fulfill what they are missing in themselves. And this is why they'll end up having yet another relationship. And I always talk about, all they're doing. And this is true for all the kind of problems that we have, is you're bringing an upgraded version of the same problem until you heal it, until you can go,
100%.
I see it, I'm aware of it, I can observe myself having the human reaction, and I know I'm okay. I know this does not define me.
And the thing is, I think a lot of people think that is quite a scary process, but it's finding out a brand new skill set that once you've got it for life. Yeah. And that's such a gift. Such a gift.
Well, it brings the peace. It brings that. And it's interesting, I was telling my group, I think I was telling you that I've taken my social media off my phone. And I was worried in the beginning, like, will I be okay? And it's absolutely wonderful. I don't really know what the hell's going on in the world. I've always had a belief that if something really important is happening that I need to know, somebody will tell me.
Come across the wireless.
Yeah. But for the rest, there's just, I'm able to sit with myself.
Yeah. And I think I'm inspired. I think I'm going to do the same.
It's so good. It's honestly, and for me, the biggest thing was waking up and going to sleep. I would just have a quick look, when I wake up, let me quick look. It was just like the most automated thing. And I used to think, what happened to the days where we didn't have telephones? We didn't wake up with that. I had one of those where you had to slam it to stop the alarm going off.
Yeah.
And in order to get up, I would put it on the other end of my bedroom so that I wouldn't miss a flight. I had to get out of bed to switch it off. Otherwise it was bang, bang, bang going off. But we didn't have the distraction from ourselves. And I think there's something to be said, especially when you reach in that space where you've got to meet who you are and you like that.
Your nervous system cannot regulate with that constant noise.
No. Nikki, it was absolutely fabulous, and I do want to bring you back at some time in the future, because I'd like to talk more about what you see when you work with people's bodies. I know that there's a lot of your wisdom that came from your physio that you've now combined it with your sacrocranial and all the other stuff that you do, and I know you do some magic. And I would love to.
I need to change it to that. It's craniosacral, but so many people have said sacred cranial. I'm like, that is better, actually. It is sacred, what I do.
You can have it. I'll give it to you.
That.
It is. So, so I would like to have a conversation about what you see in people and what does it mean?
I'd love that.
How do we release that? So we're going to bring you back at some point in the near future.
Perfect.
Nikki, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes.
And for our listeners, thank you again for being part of this podcast. If it's something that you enjoyed, loved, needed to hear, know somebody that needs to hear it, please support the show, share it, subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes. And if you want to explore more of this kind of work, there'll be details in the podcast notes, episode notes, about how to get in touch with Nikki and what she does. She's based just outside London.
In Surrey.
Surrey, there we go. She's based in Surrey, so you will have all the information for her. But also, if you want to do any work with me, there'll be the show notes at the bottom. And of course, just to let you know, if you don't know, that I do run a membership where we eat, breathe, and sleep. No, it's not that obsessive, but we do a lot of personal development. So if you want to or if you've entered into the world of personal development and don't really know where to go, or just want something, a community where we talk about all these things in a very loose and yet very deep way, do have a look at my membership and come and join us and have some fun. And for the rest, I wish you a good week, whatever you're doing, and here's to your success.